Help Save Our World Speak number 71, Chapter Violet, the Metaphysical. Hello and welcome to our 71st Help Save Our World Speak online speakers meeting, where we are changing the conversation to change our world. I'm Dennis, your host for today's 1-hour meeting. I'm here to serve you as your life coach, guide, and teacher on your life and world transforming journey with this conversation based on my book, Beyond the Age of Ignorance, The Quest for the Truth, Change, and Transformation, to empower you to change your life and help save our world through the process. Think of this enlightening thought journey as guiding you from the darkness of this age of ignorance into the light of enlightenment and the enlightened age of reason and natural wisdom, or as your journey of healing yourself to help save our world. This quest for the truth and transformation will empower you to become a great guide and teacher of others so that we can help save our world together, so we can create a happy, healthy, and sustainable future for yourself, your children, and all life on Mother Earth. Let's begin with introductions. Kurt?
Yes, Kurt, currently living in South Florida, and can't think of a better thing to do with an hour on these Sunday mornings than to engage in conversations like this that are relevant to all of us and relevant to our purpose in being on this planet.
Excellent. Thank you, Kurt. Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm here to help change the conversation, help save the planet and the environment around us, and keep our oceans and environments clean, and enjoy nature and reconnect with nature and bring about change, peace, love, and connectivity.
Excellent. Brendan is connecting. Alex, you have a friend in the room. Would she like to introduce herself?
I do. I've got a friend, Jade, here. She's a next door neighbor and someone who's interested in looking and joining our meetings. She is just listening in for now, just getting a feel of the movement and what we chat about.
Okay.
Do you want to say hi? Hi.
Hello, Jade. Nice to have you here. Brendan, would you like to introduce yourself?
He's got microphone issues at the moment. He'll connect shortly.
All right, so we'll move on. Now, as I said in our WhatsApp group, this week we are continuing with ultraviolet, which is the metaphysical or the non-physical. And this chapter is about opening those connections for you through your stories and for everyone else around you. So much of our way of thinking and way of life up until now within this sort of latter age since the dark ages has been oppressed and suppressed, and speaking about anything that is non-physical goes against sort of dominant Newtonian physics and science and mathematics and all of those things. So this is an opportunity to break down those barriers. So this week is your opportunity to share your metaphysical stories of the unexplainable. The purpose of this is to empower you to speak freely about your dreams, intuition, consciousness, uncanny life's experiences, the non-physical, the paranormal, the previously unexplainable realm, which has been marginalized by disconnected, unconscious people and replaced with objective materialistic sciences, mathematics, controlled by media, monopolized and stolen from us by religions. I'm suggesting that you forget what they think and say and just share those intimate and personal stories of your conscious connections, abnormal insights, inspirational, unexplainable incidents, happenings, experiences, intuition, dreams, gut feelings, altered states of consciousness, premonitions, deja vu, aha moments, and guidance you have received throughout your life that's leading you back into alignment with the creative life force and flow of energy of Mother Nature to live in love, balance, and harmony with her creative life force. Before we start, I just want to give you some hints. Telling us how old you are when the experience happened to you also gives us some context and a structure on which to put it all together. So that's one concept. Then the next one is you can tell your stories in any way you feel like you can best communicate them. However, telling your stories in the first person, me and I and so on, and as if you are living it in that moment, adds so much power to your story. So just, it's a good idea to say, I'm standing here on a bridge and I can feel this intuitive connection to this young Indian boy on the other side of the river. It's like, oh, I'm feeling, not I can feel, I'm feeling this connection. So by bringing it into the here and now, it's all of a sudden the people in the audience hairs stand up on their arms or run down their backs because they're feeling it, they're living it with you. So it's a good way to tell stories. It will also be helpful if you bear in mind that we're focused on transitioning from being disempowered to being empowered. And then remembering that others around us are also feeling this disempowered state with the worldwide oppressive power-based paradigm that's dominating at the moment and dominating with ignorance, ignoring that intuitive quality that we all have. And by telling your stories and doing this course, we are moving towards an age of individual empowerment and self-acceptance of the totality of who we are, everything about us, not just we are like these animals or material beings living in the material world, everything about us. So let's take this oppressive power of religion and objective materialistic sciences, mathematics, politics, and judgment and stupidity away from those in power. Let's speak about the unspeakable. By speaking your truth about this, let's take back who and what we are and give others back the confidence to speak out and about this aspect of reality of our lives. Although, please try to be mindful of your use of language. Please try to use the language that empowers people and disempowers the oppressors, trying to speak with the language of the new paradigm to empower yourself and others. So that's all I need to ask of you. So is there anything that anyone would like to begin with?
Yes.
All right, it's your opportunity, Brendan.
I want to begin with introducing myself as I was having problems with my mark earlier.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Brendan. I'm from South Africa. I joined this movement to help not only better my life, but better the lives of the people around us, as well as help start these eco-villages, which we are getting there slowly but surely, and hopefully become a self-sustaining eco-village one day. Well, have a self-sustaining eco-village one day.
Excellent. That sounds amazing. So do you have any story that you would like to begin with, Brendan?
I'll have to think about it a little bit.
Okay, so anyone else?
I'm happy to start with a very short story just to get the ball rolling.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I don't know how to do like first person or in the now speaking, but I'm happy to give my story a shot. And just so you know, I've been 21 now for a few years. So this happened when I was 21. As a lot of you know, I spent 15 years volunteering for the SPCA, actively volunteering, where I was out almost every night, out on weekends, helping animals in need in the Upper Highway area for the most part of that time. And obviously many other SPCAs around the country I've been assisting there. So,
Sorry to interrupt. What's the SPCA?
the Society for Protection Against Cruelty to Animals.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So my story begins, the inspector at the time got a call that there was an injured animal out on the road along a freeway. And we were traveling down the freeway, and we had traveled it a few times already trying to search for this animal. Up and down the freeway, we knew it was somewhere there, but it was dark. We had no means of knowing or pinpointing exactly where it could be. We just knew it was somewhere down this freeway. It had been spotted there. And so when we were starting to give up hope on looking for this animal, I tried something. It's not something I normally do. It just was instinct to give it a shot at the time. And I decided to close my eyes and focus on myself, and so like try and travel the road with my mind, travel down it to see if I could see like down the embankments, up into the rise of the hill to the right, and down the embankment to the left, and really focus on the foliage, and be one with the car, be one with the road, be one with the environment around me, and push myself out of my body and like go forth down the road, like get out of my body and go forth, like beyond the car, beyond the road, beyond what I could see, to try and search for this animal in a non-physical state, using my mind's eye as opposed to my own eyes. And all of a sudden, this image came to me of this dog just on the other side of the barrier. It was black and white, almost looked like a German Shepherd, but not quite. And I'm like, I think I see it. I think I see it. It's like about 200 meters down the road, just past the barrier, that silver barrier that runs down the side of the road. As we start to see that barrier, it will be just down the embankment there. I can see it. I can feel it. It's calling to me. And we literally travel down the road a little bit. We see the barrier. We get out of the car. We grab our headlights. We run down the hillside, and there it was, black and brown dog, German Shepherd looking dog, injured and needing our help. And an animal managed to get saved just because I was ready to take my mind's eye to a new step.
That's awesome stuff. That's the magic that we need to speak about. It's just like we all have these amazing skills, and if we just allow ourselves to go there, oh my gosh, it's available to us. Anyone else? Good.
See, like I knew you were going to call on me right then. So there's an example of it right there. So I'll start with a realization I had. Probably I was 20 years old or so. And I had just had so many experiences of this that I came up with the theory that I live, or I actually made the phrase that my patron saint is coincidence. If that means anything to you and what a patron saint is, but it just seemed that so many things in my life just revealed themselves at the exact moment that something else did. And to my mind, they were totally independent and separate, but in this moment, they came together. Certainly it often happens with thinking about somebody and getting a phone call, or thinking about somebody and running into them in a distant place outside of town that, you know, what were the chances that both of us would have chosen to be there that day? So at the time, I put it to coincidence. That was my understanding. I'll fast forward some 50 years. And these days, I live in connection and synchronicity. And that's what I've come to learn is what my experience has been all my life. That these moments of just connectivity with all that suddenly bridge the parsecs and the eons and whatever else separates us, to realize that there is just this ultimate connectivity. And oftentimes I experience it as an anticipation of what is about to happen. Sometimes I experience that that's the lesson I need to learn in this moment. And that's why this came in order for me to take it and move it forward to a new understanding. So I know that's a generalization. I have countless experiences and examples of this, but just wanted to start with that. Because certainly in my life, people say, oh yeah, it's just coincidence. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. But I just know that the improbability, and I won't even think about the mathematics of these things occurring, and not just once, but countless times throughout my life, just has proven that there is a connection, there is a field, there is this collective unconsciousness that we have access to. And I get that everybody has this capability. I don't get that a lot of people pay attention to it. Many people have said, it's your gut feeling. And yeah, okay, we can call it that as well if we want. However, I just want to propose to start off that there is this connectivity, this connection, which I'm sure is where this is all leading to anyway. So just wanted to share that for the moment.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Carry on, Alex.
I totally 100% agree. For me, it hasn't been the patron saint of coincidence. Yeah. For me, I feel like it's my guides, my ancestors, the universe colliding to bring forth these images or instances. And yes, you have to be open to it. You have to be willing to see it and accept it and bring it forth into your reality. Once you're aware of it and you're able to make the choices and decisions based on those that information that you're receiving. I mean, I was in a situation where we were down and out. Like, we were bringing home like 20 Rand a day just to make sure that we had enough food to survive. I had a tiny little baby. Rowan was maybe about 6 months, 8 months old. We couldn't afford anything. We were really, really down and out. Because I still had all the pregnancy hormones running through my body. I was suffering with extreme amounts of stress. And I was vomiting up in stress all the time. And we're staying with my ex-mother-in-law. And, I found that whole situation, because it was a tiny place. We were on top of one another. The whole situation was just so stressful and so uncomfortable. And it wasn't comfortable for anyone that was there. But I turn around and I look at the wall the one day, and there in the wall, this image emerges. And I know we've got this whole thing of we try and find patterns or what we want to see in abstract objects, but it was clear as daylight, this phoenix rising up out of the wall, out of the dirt, out of the ground. And it was, hey, pay attention. It's bad now. This is as low as it goes, but things are going to change. Things are going to flourish. Things are going to come right. And I immediately, as I saw that image, knew. And from that moment forward, I was able to take every step forward until we could sort of build our lives again. Because I saw the image, I knew what it meant, and I knew that this was the lowest, and you can only rise from here.
Excellent. The rising of the phoenix. It's the whole thing of patterns and everything. It's like, I think for me, we see and we receive and we focus in on the information that we need when we need it. So you seeing it, it could be that it was coincidence, it could be just, whatever, but you were in particular at that moment in your life focusing in on what was the next step, and then could see this rising phoenix. So I think it's an amazing thing. Anyone else?
Okay.
Yeah.
I have two basically short stories. My dad and I used to love walking through the bush near our house, looking for orchids and everything. And the one day we're walking through the bush now, beautiful trees all around us, a lovely river flowing through it. And as we're walking, I'll see this orchid, and I tell my dad, let's go pick the orchid. And so he's busy walking to go pick the orchid. And then all of a sudden I get this sharp instinct, not really a pain or anything, not physical pain, but the sharp instinct. And I tell him, move your foot now, out of nowhere. And as he moved his foot, a snake struck and missed him by a few centimeters. And it was just amazing, it's like, and it was what's those ones that spit?
I guess cobra?
Wrinkles.
Wrinkles.
Yeah. And so we ended up catching it and giving it to the SPCA. I don't know why, but anyway, so, because I mean it's in its natural habitat, but we ended up doing it anyway. And then as you know, about a year ago, we had a break-in. The night before, I was busy saying, I have a bad feeling that something's going to happen. I have a terrible feeling, and I was feeling very anxious and nervous and uncomfortable. And truth to God, the very next night, it happened. We got broken into. We were all sleeping. We got cleared out. And yeah, so it's quite amazing how you can actually know that something's going to happen before it happens, or know that something's coming along to guide you.
That's awesome stuff. I love the snake story. That reminds me of my own little snake story, if you don't mind me jumping in.
Oh, go ahead.
My sister and I, we used to love playing with these, like we'd go and we'd hunt for our sticks that we needed, flexible whippy sticks, and put clay on the end of the stick and we'd whip it. It'd be great fun, because you'd get it, you could throw clay like a lot further with the whippy stick. It's called clay lighties or whatever when we were kids. I can't remember how to say it. And I mean, at various stages of our lives, we played this game. But I was standing there with this hedge in front of me, and Anne, my sister, and she passed away a long time ago, and I haven't used her name for just basically ever since then. So sorry for the pause there. But Anne was standing, I don't know, maybe 10 paces away from me, but also facing the hedge. And I was reaching in to grab a stick. So as I'm reaching in, she says, "Oh, I found a beautiful green stick." And this intuition, I could see through her eyes what she was looking at. And I'm like, "No, stop, don't touch it." And I said, "Let me see." And I walked down towards her and looked into the bush. And there was this perfectly straight boomslang in the tree. And she was just reaching to grab onto the most venomous snake that we have in our country. So we have this intuitive relationship and connection to people who are very close to us, and many, many other examples of that. But anyone else like to continue from there?
Yeah, I'll give you some more recent examples. Happens a lot in the past couple of months. probably because I'm doing a lot more reading anyway. Dozens of times I'll be reading in a book or a magazine or even something online, and I may have another source of media, maybe a radio or not that I turn it on much, but maybe I've had the TV on, and at the exact moment that I'm hearing a particular word, I'm seeing it right in front of me.
Wow.
And this happens literally dozens of times in the past couple of months. It's a new instance for me. I'm sure it's happened in the past, but for the regularity that's been coming up, it could be I'm listening to the radio and somebody in my car says the exact same word that the radio did at the same moment. So there are these intersections of, I'll call them, well, I don't even know. I haven't thought of expressing this yet, but these simultaneities of thought, because a word is a thought and a sound becomes a thought, that are just reinforced. And as I was thinking about expressing this to you, I realized that I haven't milked it for, I got to write that word down because it's been doubly enforced in my brain right now. I haven't done that. I just been aware of. So I'm interpreting it as just a continuing example of this happens, Kurt. It's always available. If you just want to be open to it, there are many, many things. So remember that synchronicity and connectivity is all around all the time. So I'm getting that that's my interpretation of why I've had so many of these experiences. But I'm thinking maybe I'll start to collect them just to see if there's a pattern or if there's something in my life deeper than just it's a reminder of coincidence or synchronicity, that maybe it's a reminder to look at this particular thought in a little more detail. Then again, it could just be laying the seed in there for it and it will happen on its own. So maybe I don't need to do anything, just accept that. Okay, there was one, and move on, allowing it to do whatever germination it needed to do in order to drop the thought and the sound together to implant into me.
I love that idea. To me, that's actually the whole magic that exists behind this whole course and this whole creation of what I've done is as something intuitively is either given to me or I receive it as a dream or whatever form of consciousness that it comes to me in, whatever avenue, I make the effort to write it down in a book and maybe transcribe it later or switch on my computer and write it down. Just about everything that I write about and I speak about comes through me. I'm like this channel or this funnel that's receiving all of this information from the universe, but it really is that selective attention that I focused on a particular thing, or my guides, my ancestors, whatever who are guiding me, they will send me specific information that I need at that moment. And one of my greatest moments of that happening is I'll have a dream, a very amazing lucid dream, which I can describe and everything. But I usually wake up with just as I'm transitioning into the awakened state, with this inspirational saying or thought or words, just like you're saying. And I'll go and write it down, and it has a very specific meaning. And it all just falls in perfectly with the creation of this course. It's just so, just by being conscious and paying attention to it, it's created this magnificent thing. And it's like the genie and the genius, like that I spoke about last week. It's like we're the channel or the receivers, and the genius is actually the genius that comes through us. which we write down and bring into this physical world. So it's, if you're listening and you're hearing and you're remembering, then great. But unless you actually bring it in and turn it into the physical, it generally flits by you and disappears. And it'll come back again. It will be repeated, but when are you going to listen, and when are you going to make it real? That's something that is always like been interesting to me. Anyway, anyone else?
I'll speak
sorry.
again into another
Sorry.
example, and it involves you and I actually, and being on these calls. I don't remember exactly when it was. It might have been a year ago, maybe less. But on one of these meetings, I would make a comment on something which seemed to anticipate the very things that you were about to talk about. Do you remember that session?
Absolutely. And it happens all the time.
Yes, yes. And so, I had no idea what your contents were or what the sequence was. So I hold that to be a connectivity. That could be just the back of my mind processing at a different rate, or being totally in focus and present with your mind and where your thoughts were going, and it just anticipated maybe what would be next. However, and I took the experience as, okay, looks like I'm present to what's going on with the content today, and that you and I are aligned across thousands of miles and a huge ocean, and totally different lifetimes of thought that brought us to that 1 hour that day, where things just happen to be in sync. And I find that occurs to me fairly often, not so much in the detail that our conversations were in that session, where I can anticipate a thought where someone is going, or I've already had their words in my mind before they spoke them. And now that could just be, again, being fully present and connected, and just my thought is just taking theirs and running ahead with it. But when the words come out exactly as they were about to say, and their thought was important, and that connectivity and awareness of the connectivity was also important. So I don't know how to package this yet. I mean, this is such a huge topic. I think all of us have had so many experiences. Many of them we don't even log in. Oh, that just happened. It just went along. So I don't quite have a name for it yet. Again, it's my connectivity and synchronicity, I think, is just becoming way more available. And the awareness that that's what it is versus coincidence, I think, has been the big shift in my life. So I enjoy those moments, because what it tells me is that there is this channel between us right now, and the thoughts, the concepts, the learnings, whatever might come out of it, there's a really good channel of focus. Maybe that was the word I was looking for, focus that's happening. And I'll just leave that there. But it's one of the reasons I also like to participate in these calls, is that there's just often that reinforcement of thoughts that I may have had that I didn't put in the same order. And it was no accident, as we often say, that this call covered something I've been thinking about this week. And it came up from somebody else's mouth, but it expressed what I've been chewing on, for a couple of days or weeks or months, depending. So,
that's awesome.
That's
Sorry, okay, Alex, I'll let you speak now. So telepathy is the telepathy, in other words, like telephone between two people. It's that ability to hear or intuitively connect to other people's brainwaves and so on. So I love that. Carry on, Alex.
Yeah, I want to grow on that. It's not just two people though. I love art, and I love creating stuff, and I love making stuff, and I will take the most abstract things and work on them and make them up normally from nothing to something. And once I was whittling this, I found this stick out when I went for a walk, and it was a nice straight stick. It had this like ugly looking knot at the bottom, but it's fun. I mean, the stick was pretty awesome. I could make it into a walking stick, you know, add some feathers, burn a few carvings into it and make it look really nice, you know, maybe even bleach it so that, you know, or give it that like white oak kind of look to it. I mean, just to play with something like that, and I mean, sit and just spend time with nature, just whittling a stick, you know. So I had the stick, and I was like really enjoying its company. I mean, and I was really enjoying connecting with it, and to the point where I actually like, it sounds crazy starting to speak to it. I'm just like, you know, what will I call you? What name do you want? And you know, I'm like, you know, just and I got to this knot, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I really want to get rid of this knot. It's really like bulky and not, you know, and you know, ugly. I want to like, you know, get rid of it. So I'm trying to clean it off, get off the bark, and now I'm decided, no, okay, you know what? I actually don't want this section. I'm just gonna like whittle it down until it's gone. And as I'm busy with this knot, this name comes into my head. I think I can't remember what it was,
Kudu.
but it was kudu, yes. Kudu. So I'm like, well, that's a really nice name, but I mean, why? I mean, why would you want to be kudu? At that point, I kind of like turned the knot over, and beneath the knot was this perfect, well, not perfect, you know, like squiff and kudu,
Hoof.
claw, paw, what do you call it?
Hoof.
Hoof, there we go. Perfect hoof of a kudu. And I'm like, I understand, you know, and not just that, when I was trying to like get rid of this knot, it was like, as if it was saying to me, no, that's the part that needs to stay. That's who I am. That's, you know, that's my being. Don't get rid of it. It was like this really hard knot. It just didn't want to like whittle down. And I understood why in the end, because that was its being. That was its who it was. It wanted to be. It wanted to be a kudu. And you know, I cleaned it up and I put some feathers on it and some colorful strings and everything. And we had this lady next door who loved to hike but really struggled to walk while she was hiking, and often had like some sort of stick out with her. And I said to her, yeah, you know, I told her the whole story of it, and she was so appreciative to get kudu, and it was now became her companion every time she walked that day onwards. So I thought that was a beautiful connection to nature, and just being open to listen and interpret, and also understanding that the stick that was perceived dead and, you know, discarded by a tree had its own essence and life and its own reality, and obviously wanted to be more than just a stick. It had aspirations to be more. So I thought that was beautiful. And then another item is, you know, I used to enjoy, especially when my friends got really upset, I'd go and sit and I'd massage their shoulders and their back and just like try and work, you know, while they cried or while they were going through this emotional difficulty, just show some love and support and connection to them. But massaging their shoulders and their back, and often in those circumstances, I could use my hands to receive information from them of who they were, things that they needed, but most of all, words they needed to hear in those situations. as if I was channeling an energy or someone speaking through me to say, please tell them this. And I would say these words, and they'd be like, that's exactly what my mom would say when I was upset. And how did you know? Or that's exactly what I needed to hear right now, or something like that. In their moments of need, I could channel this energy and know exactly what to say in the moment that they needed to hear it.
I love both those stories. They're just absolutely magical. Anyone else with some stories? I'd just like to go back to that. You've got those the story that you actually have this incredible ability to paint paintings of emotions, of your innermost sort of feelings, and the use of color and the use of lines and shapes. And it's like people might sort of say that, oh, maybe that's like a very immature painting, but to me, they're the most advanced paintings. I mean, I studied fine art, and I could paint perfection, like things exactly as they are. And then my art teacher said, no, Dennis, you really have to put yourself into the painting. You've got to put your emotions in. And I really battled with that. But it's something for you that just comes totally naturally. So, and then afterwards, we go through it, and it's like you're telling a dream story. It's like, and by knowing and understanding colors and harshness and intensity and variance and so on, we're able to unravel what you meant in this beautiful, colorful, amazing, incredible imagery. And that's fascinated me throughout my life. So you want to talk about that?
I don't do it often, but when I do need to, I need to communicate. I'm struggling. I struggle to communicate. I really battle with words. The words don't flow like they're supposed to. The mind does not connect to the mouth. And sometimes the emotions run so deep that even I can't understand, or I can't feel, I can't communicate, I don't understand. And the only way for me to feel is to put my feeling on paper, spread the color onto the paper in whatever manner just happens, and then stand back and be like, okay, I understand. And even then, some imagery is just so hard for me to get, even when I stand back and I'm like, okay, but I still don't understand. I love the way that you can feel me through those paintings and be like, okay, this is what you were on about here, but why? And then I can be like, yeah, okay, I understand that, and this is why. And to put pictures on paper and bring forth the words and the emotion and the strength and everything from that, it's just it's sometimes easier for me to communicate in art than it is for me to communicate how I'm feeling and what I'm struggling with words. And I do sometimes I just have to put it down on paper, and I'm glad now we've got the board there. It's like ready and waiting. Anytime I need to, I can just scribble on the page and be like, okay, I need to get this out, and then go from there. And once I'm done drawing, I'm done. It's like, okay, I've expressed it. I'm okay. I can deal with it now. I understand it now. It's now being brought forth to the physical realm, and I can deal with it. But a few years back, I was in a bit of a state, and I was having a hard time at work. Was just like overwhelming. I eventually went to my boss, and I swore at her, and I was like, I'm done with this job. Get away from me. I've had enough. Just let me be. I want to resign. Just like rampaged it. In all the negative words possible. All the swear words that possibly could have come out of my mouth came out then. Luckily at the time, because there was no one else to fill my position, she said to me, you know what, just take 10 days break, go home, just take a break, and if you still feel the same in 10 days, then we can relook at your resignation. And I needed those 10 days, and during those 10 days I just scribbled on paper. I had literally pieces of paper all laid next to one another, so that I had this big sheet, and I just colored, and I colored, and I colored, and I colored, just to get all my frustration and everything out. And I created 2 really, really fantastic pieces of art. I mean, I wish there was some way I could have kept it in maybe framed it or something like that, but also just I created 2 exceptional pieces of artwork in that time. And when I was able to show my dad and say, okay, this is what it did, I still don't fully understand. He was like, okay, but that's that. I'm like, I get it now. And I was able to move past that point. Those 10 days came, I went back to work, I was fine. I said my apologies for the language and my tone and all of that, and managed to keep my job, which I'm now 5 years down the line still with. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's awesome. I love that story. And I think that I took pictures of those drawings. Absolutely amazing. It's like, I was like, gobsmacked. It's like, oh my gosh, that's what she's doing. It's like, and every time you do it, it's like, I just like, oh my gosh, this is true art. It's incredible. Kurt, I wanted to go back to, your insights that you come up with this like amazing, like, oh my gosh, and I maybe even hadn't thought about it. And then I go back, like when I'm writing for the next week, I'll actually refer back to the comments that you made as well. And quite often, as we're talking, we're being creative, and we're channeling information. Quite often I've had people standing in front of me and saying to me, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I have to say it, so I'm going to say it. And it's like they are channeling these incredibly important messages that I needed at that moment, but maybe wasn't listening to my guides or ancestors, whoever's giving me this information that I really needed at that moment. So I don't ignore like this incredible wisdom that I'm receiving from you, whether it's you or you channeling or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, that's such an important thing, and I need to bring it up in the next meeting. So I write about it and just introduce it to the meeting. So I think we also have this thing, which is like, we have these, I don't like using the word spiritual, right, because it has all of these sort of ethereal and religious connections to it. But we're like these travelers. I'm not necessarily saying that we in particular, but it's like we are these entities, or these energy beings, or these family of people or energy beings that existed before life, come into life and cooperate and share and help one another, giving one another the things we need at that particular time in our lives. And people come into your life and give you all of this amazing learning experience and growth and, as a consciousness, and then leave your life. And, but that was their function. And it seems like nothing is like just an accident. It's like they come in, they give you exactly what you want when you want it. And it's as if we are these teams or families or groups of people that are all working towards like a common goal to make a difference in the world. And it's those people, if you're focused on that, those are the people that come into your life. And if you're true to yourself and true to your intuition, they will come into your life and you'll grow together. So I think it's really important to be true to yourself and to be listening and bringing what you can in. So yeah, anybody got any ideas on those ideas?
Well, coming from the perspective that I'm responsible for everything and I create all of my experiences, you get to own that you channeled me. I didn't channel any information. You channeled me into your life in order to have that information come, right? And I'm smiling at that, and it sounds kind of flippant, but that's the connectivity that we're talking about, is that it's all accessible to all of us, and that my presence on the call may have been in order for you to hear a particular message, and it went through me to you. What's the chances of that happening if I wasn't on the call? So when we stand as the cause of all that we experience, truth or not is irrelevant, and even truth, I don't know that any of us can pin it down. We become, or we are, and we experience ourselves as connected with everything. We experience ourselves as, I'm going to say, both as an ultimate being and also as the tiniest particle that we don't even know exists. And it's that experience of connection that I think is of real value, not necessarily what the point was, because all the points exist all the time, forever. That we happen to pick up that one now, or it takes years or sometimes all of our lifetimes to get that. Oh, that's what that was about. So those experiences, I say, are always available to us. Whether I hold up this and suddenly that triggers something in somebody else. There's no reason for me to hold this up other than to say something random. It's on my table. There's a reason I brought it out here. I know why I brought it out, but I don't know what impact it may have on you. Or when I take a sip of water, or if I leave my mic on and you hear birds chirping behind me. And all I'm doing is just noticing things in my material world, right? I have no idea how they're going to impact you. At some point, great, okay, I'm outside, the sky's blue. If I take myself away from this conversation, I can then start to tap into what's around me and be present to the now where I'm at. I'm getting, in my advancing years, though I probably knew it younger as well, that's the true experience of living. It's living in connection, not just living in and around, but living in connection with what is here, who is here. So those are fun times. I often tell people when things pop up in our conversation, it's probably close to daily, is that I live in synchronicity. Now, I don't say that as any special gift. It's just my experience of how things are these days. And that absolutely everything I can put meaning to if I chose to. And I can find out why it was here. However, that's just kind of going, to my mind, through a mind trip, when just the experience of it is enough. This is the beingness. This is the context of beingness, of being connected. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get anything from it. Just being in that connection is enough to experience life fully. So for me, it's not a question of what meaning should I put on it. It just is, and I'm happy that I'm experiencing it and its isness as it is. And if that sounded jargony, maybe it was. It's what came through me to express basically what I experience much and much of my time, and much more of my time. And as an attestation, conversations like this are part of my journey to expand my thinking in other areas of thought, and to be able to express it with other like-minded people who are on their journeys as well. So I think the conversation and the communication of journey, of us being on a journey and finding those common souls along the way, is the greatest experience of life. I just, of course, not accidentally, half an hour before I came on the call, I randomly clicked on a Facebook video. You know, they have this new button where they just show lots of videos. And it ended up to be a valedictorian from 2019. So he was 18-year-old, I'm guessing. It was high school. And he was talking about how he realized that he was a candidate for it a year before, and he spent the entire year prepping to be able to become the valedictorian for his school. And as he was making his speech, he said, and maybe this was, it might have been a review after, now that I'm thinking about it. I said, so I had once I made my speech, I sat down, and for 15 seconds, I was euphoric. Like, I accomplished what I wanted to. I set my goal. I did it. And he said, but the 16th second, I felt this emptiness. Like, so what? Well, what did it really mean? Why did I do that? And then he turned the next part of the speech into, what I realized is that I gave up my relationships with everybody in my life to accomplish this goal. And when I accomplished the goal, it was vacant because I realized I did not have personal connection with anybody. I blew everybody off so I could focus on what I was up to. The flip is, it's the connection with people that I get makes us value life, value being in this suit that we carry around. I don't deny that there are things that require our attention and require us to pull back from socialness. And certainly this past year has been an example for everybody to experience. And yet, ultimately, the stuff we did this year, I don't think is important as the people we didn't talk to, the people we didn't hug, those moments of connectivity with other spirits that just didn't happen because of the physical presence. So a lot of people did what we're doing now. They had Zoom calls, they had more telephone calls. Many families had family Zoom calls where, you know, let's keep our connection together. So it's that desire for connection, I think, is the greatest experience. And not only the desire for connection, but the experience of connection that makes it all worthwhile.
I love those ideas. I think they're brilliant. For me, when I use the word consciousness, I often refer to it as conscious connectedness. And I refer to the conscious awareness of our internal being, and the conscious connection to our conversations within us, and our conscious connection to the environment around us. And our consciousness to me is becoming aware of and connected to that whole greater world around us. So I absolutely love that concept. And what we're doing is we're rising from awareness to consciousness to having a good understanding of natural wisdom, and then progressing towards this form of enlightenment, the understanding of the light and everything around us, the seeing of everything in context, which to me is all altered states of consciousness. It's just like we're awakening to the world that we need to see. Alex, we're going to have to make your story the last one.
That's
Carry on.
fine. I just kind of want to wrap it up a little bit. Anyway, so on that, you know, we're all conscious beings, and we're all traveling this road together on this earth, and we all connected with the planet. If you're not feeling what we're saying, if you're not getting what we're saying, if you're not connecting with what we're saying, then you need to become more connected. You need to open your eyes to your environment and connect with the people around you. And a lot of that starts with, you know, try things like yoga, meditation, breathing techniques, closing your eyes and just being in the now. It really does help you bring your energy in and focus on what's available to you. I mean, and coincidences. I mean, coincidences are the universe speaking to you, not in words. They're not having a chit chat with you. They're not going to, you know, have a conversation with you. You're not going to think you're crazy. But things are going to happen. You're going to need to move. And then all of a sudden, the perfect place becomes available to you to move to. Those coincidences don't just happen. They are the universe, they are the conscious connectivity that is speaking to you, guiding you, and being available for you in the now. They know you're traveling this world. They are with you. They are walking this road with you. We're walking this road with you. We're having this conversation because it's real. We're having this conversation because you right now need to hear it. And you need to open your eyes, and you need to broaden your scope of your reality.
I love that. It's it's just basically this journey of awakening to our consciousness, becoming more aware, more insightful, discovering the elusive truth, which tends to be more so than not so, and then living our lives by it, living our lives in love, balance, and harmony, just being the magic that we are. You know, we don't think that we are these incredibly powerful, amazing human beings, but we are. That's the magic of life. So thank you everyone for your contribution, and we've reached the end of our hour, so we will just end the recording with a bye.
Bye guys, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.